right, good afternoon, everybody. I am Brian Randolph with the Human and Civil Rights Coalition of Georgia. Uh, Here today with my co-host Susan Sparks Burns with the advocacy group. They have no voice, and we will be bringing in a guest momentarily. Excuse us for being a little late, but we kind of got things a little bit behind here because we just had to get some guests on and get them connected and everything like that. So sorry about us being late today. But Susan, are you here with me? Can you hear me?
I am. I can hear you fine. Thank you.
All right. So we wanted to go over. Unfortunately, there was a death at Hancock State Prison on June 28th, just a couple of days ago, um, and we've heard some very disturbing details about this death. Pertaining to Mr. Ronald Phillips, who was killed on June 28th at Hancock State Prison. I'm going to turn it over very shortly, to Susan Sparks Burns, who probably has a little bit more information than I have. But Susan, are you ready to jump into this one?
Yes, I am.
All right,
Um,
go ahead.
when we did our last podcast, we were aware of Roland Phillips' death, but we were not aware of his name. And the death itself had been confirmed, however. So I guess a day or so later, we found out that his name was Roland Phillips and that he was killed at Hancock on June 28th. He was housed in segregation, and his sister told me that he always was housed in segregation and he was not to have a cellmate. And that's not unusual in prisons, that they have people that have housing requirements like that. And those housing requirements are well known to the staff and the deputy warden of care and treatment and the warden. So my understanding of what happened that morning was Mr. Phillips was told that he was going to get a cellmate. And this was sometime between 7 and 8 in the morning. He was going to get a cellmate. And he objected to that. And he was tased and pepper sprayed. We don't have any information on whether or not he was handcuffed, but we did understand from other inmates that he was tased and pepper sprayed. And typically, what happens is unfortunate, but it's true. Very few people are offered a decontamination after they are sprayed with pepper spray. So here, this man has been told that he is going to have a cellmate where he's not supposed to, and now he's been disabled by being tased and pepper sprayed. And the deputy warden of security, George Ivy, and Officer Erica Swint proceeded to put the man that they had said was going to be his cellmate. They put him in the cell with Mr. Phillips. And moments later, the cellmate ended up stabbing Mr. Phillips. I heard from the sister that inmates who were in the tier there called the family to let them know that Roland had been stabbed and that he was bleeding out in his cell. What I've not heard is what happened to the other inmate that had been put in with him. I also don't know if that man has been identified, but he is not that person's name is not known to us. So I think this is a good place to.
Well, wait a minute, because I want to add a little bit more context, because I don't think that you and if you did, I lost connection for just a second. So Um, but this is going to be very important because we're going to bring in the guest in just a second, which is the mother of Mr. Roland Phillips. We're going to talk to her very briefly, but I wanted to give a context because it's going to be something very important that she's going to say on the time frame of all this. Now, we have the information that this actually took place. That the attack on Mr. Phillips actually took place between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. on June the 28th. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and Mr. Phillips was pronounced around 11 a.m. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay, so there's going to be some time gaps in between all of this. It's going to have to be put together by the mother that that received this unfortunate and very um, sad news about her son being killed. And I just want to say this and touch on this before we go to her. And I promise we're coming to her very shortly. But you just don't put someone in the cell. You don't go through all of that trouble to put someone in a cell who's been identified as not being able to have a roommate. You don't go through all this trouble and then imaginally a few minutes later, a few moments later, this person has been stabbed and killed multiple times. Something it doesn't smell right to me.
Nor to me.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
There,
sorry.
there are going to be additional gaps in this story as we go along. So,
Right.
but
And
you're right. This, without regards to his particular housing requirements, they attempted to place another man who was dangerous, clearly, to Mr. Phillips in the cell with him.
right. And Susan, and like I said, we want to always be as transparent and honest as possible. And I'll just go ahead and say it. I won't touch too much into this because I have not been able to see it yet. But there is evidence to back up everything that we're saying. Um, I know I've spoken with several people that was there, and I know you have as well, Susan. And there's evidence to back up what we're saying. So we're not just on here making things up as we go. Um, there is evidence of this of Mr. Phillips being sprayed and Mr. Phillips being tased. So it's going to have to be some very good explaining because this guy knew he wasn't. Mr. Phillips knew he wasn't supposed to have a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him whatsoever for what they call bucking the flap or refusing the handcuff to receive an inmate when he knew that he wasn't supposed to have one.
That's right.
So at this time we're going to bring in Miss Patricia. She is the mother of Mr. Ronald Phillips. Miss Patricia, are you here with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for coming on. I hate that
Yes,
we had
sir.
to bring. I hate that we had to bring you on during this time. I know it's just been a few days since you got the unfortunate news, but it was
Yes, sir.
also but it was also very important that we could get you on and try to get this out there where people can hear it and see it because it's just ridiculous. It's every week um, dealing with this department that something like this happens or close to this that happens, and we just wanted to get your input on everything and what you had been told or what you have been told so far. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Um, yes, it's very sad and unfortunately, but when I called there that morning, Deputy Warden Washington, we had a debate going back and forth. She wouldn't tell me anything, and every time I've called, all I was for the warden, all I was told was to leave my number and my name, and they'll pass the message along. Um, like you said, this happened early in the morning. I knew of the stabbing around 9 something in the morning, but I wasn't able to reach anyone except for that deputy warden Washington, and I just got to run around. When I spoke to the Deputy Coroner Dontrell Andrews around 9:30 p.m. He stated that I asked him what happened because no one else was able to tell me. He stated that my son was jumped in the shower. And I said, "Are you?" And basically called him a liar. I said, "Are you certain it was the shower and not his cell?" He said, "Well, that's what they told me." And somewhere along the line, if not that night, then Thursday, I called him back to question it again to make sure that I wasn't being bamboozled by the person, the inmate. Um, he said we all have to have our stories in line. We all have to have our stories match up because that'll open all kind of other investigations if they don't. So that's why I'm saying, but I don't think he knew that I knew my son was in segregation. You know, I I, I knew by the time my husband worked at a prison out here in Georgia for a little while, and from my understanding, when you in segregation, you get escorted from your cell by a guard to the shower for a duration and they escort you back. So how did he get jumped in the cell? I mean in the shower. What and he said, well, that was the information that they had gave him. So no one, no official from the prison, not even GBI investigator has contacted me. I did all my own calling. I called the medical examiner Thursday at that time. I think her name was Kiera. She hadn't done the autopsy yet. But for any officials to call me to tell me the the kind of things surrounding my son' death, why it happened, no one said anything
And let
other
me ask you
than
this, because you told me, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I kind of, this was important that I wanted to touch on.
yes.
You said that earlier you told us before we went live that you actually um spoke with someone at the prison. But tell me again what time you said you finally spoken with someone when this happened in the morning time.
um I spoke with Deputy Warden Washington.
Mhm.
I want to say before 1 p.m. I want to say because I had been calling there. I know it was early. It could have been before noon, but I started calling that prison at 10:25 a.m. And I called practically every half an hour, somewhere up in there. But I know I spoke to her earlier. It was earlier in the day. I know it's before 1, somewhere between 11 and 1, 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And another thing, when I spoke to the deputy coroner Dontrell that night at 9:30, and I told him that I had spoke with the deputy warden, he stated, I told him we kind of clashed. I thought I was being disrespectful to her. She was, yes, and he stated that he was in the office with her when I called, when I was on the phone with her. I know it was right after 11 a.m.
Okay.
when I talked to her. And another thing about my son, he was transferred there from Augusta State Medical Prison. Since my son been in the justice system in Georgia, he's had, well, I'm not saying the prison he had mental issues. He went in prison with mental health issues. And throughout the prison system out here in Georgia he had been administering some medication. But I don't know if he received any medicine. Um, at Hancock, I believe Roland was there maybe a year. What time is that? I didn't. That's when I spoke to Ivy. Yes, yes, sir. But yes, Roland. I mean, that um, may. What all can I say, sir?
No, you go ahead and you speak as freely and you give as much information as you are willing to give. You don't have to give anything that you're not willing to give. So that one's on you.
I was told that my son got in trouble last week with Ivy, with Warden Ivy.
Hmm.
and Warden Ivy was angry at him and had that guy put in the room. I also was told that it was 2 guards right there on the tier, and they was calling for help, and the guards wouldn't come. One was a sergeant, and I don't know what the title of the other one was. But
Right.
I was giving those 2 people names, so I don't know if they was males or female, but I was giving their names.
Right, and that kind of goes together with the information that we had heard earlier is that of Roland being pepper sprayed and tased. So I don't know if if Warden Ivy, maybe Susan knows a little bit more about that, but I don't know if if Deputy Warden Ivy was involved in the pepper spraying and the tasing. Susan, do you know?
Um, they are his name and the female officer Erica Swint. They are the only names I've been given related to the treatment of Roland in the cell.
Right. And Susan, have you had any information, on what Miss Patricia's telling us as far as this supposedly happening in the showers?
I heard the same thing from her daughter that's what deputy coroner told them, but just like Miss Patricia said, that doesn't make sense, and
Right.
particularly in view of the timing on this. They're not running showers that time of the morning. That's not what's going on. It makes sense that they'd be trying to put someone in a cell with him at that time of morning.
Right.
Had breakfast, and this is there's some context here that's missing, and it's what was going on at that prison that day. This was the big going away party for Warden Toby.
Mm.
Yeah. So meanwhile, this happens on her watch. She's still there, and Ms. Patricia does not get a confirmation that her son has died until 9:30 at night. Now, I had asked earlier on, was there a life flight? And initially I was told there wasn't. Then someone who was there said, no, there wasn't a life flight. And that's easy enough to confirm. But even if he went from the prison to the hospital and his death was declared at the hospital for 11 something that day, what in the world were they doing for the next 10 hours?
Sounds like they was trying to get the stories together.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, that's just what it sounds like to me now. I mean, I've been told that I just don't give them any type of benefit of the doubt. But
No.
like I said, at this, that's what it sounds like to me.
I'm a mother too. It breaks my heart to think that someone has this knowledge for 10 hours and no one bothers to pick up the phone and call you and tell you in a respectful way what has happened to your son.
Go ahead, Miss Patricia.
Yes, I was told he never left the building. The deputy coroner told me he never left the building because we was trying to find local hospitals. But then my husband told me that when it's an inmate, I guess it's anonymous, that you cannot, hospitals, that you cannot check on, an inmate at the hospital when something happened at the prison. But I was told again by the deputy coroner that he never left the building. He never left the prison. So he didn't go to a hospital.
How does that make? No, I'm not saying that you.
He was trying. Yes, ma'am.
It makes no sense to me because what I was told initially was that he was bleeding out. He'd been stabbed multiple times, and it's still 3 hours before they're going to declare declare him dead, and yet to not leave the hospital, to not leave the prison is unconscionable.
They escorted him from his cell on the stretcher. This is what I was also told. Um, they do have. Well, I don't know if I could say call them witnesses, but I believe if I'm not correct, Roland was, I believe, in room cell G2 or 2G
Mhm.
228.
Yes.
So they questioned or was to question the inmate in cell 226 and cell 227. But if I'm not mistaken, he was in cell 228, and they escorted him out with on a stretcher that morning. Um,
For that, and then
like I
that
say,
well, that goes that theory of it happened in the shower.
yes, yes, sir. And they also put the crime scene tape up at the cell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I
Yeah.
thought, oh, if it happened in the shower, you mean to say the guard escort know who came in there? I was also told to have someone check the cameras.
Right, right,
Yeah,
and so I just unfortunately, I wish I would be a little more shocked than what I am now, but
yeah,
unfortunately, and what I'm about to say, please don't way because it's not meant to be the wrong way whatsoever. But
yes, sir.
you're now in line with dozens and dozens of other family members who has been treated so disrespectfully, by the state. Um, they get no answers. They get lied to.
Yeah,
They get no phone calls whatsoever. I mean, I've been dealing with family members for the last few weeks where their family member was killed. They know who killed them, and the GDC, the warden, has not even picked up the phone to give them an update, on the situation and on the case. So I hate it. I mean, it's unfortunate that you're now being left with answers. I'm sorry, with questions. I mean, you have so many questions, and it's unfortunate also is because you're getting information from other parties when you should be getting the information from the people that had a responsibility to care for your son, to people that had
yes, sir.
to have the responsibility. You're having to learn all this stuff from us and from everybody else, and it's unfortunate, and I mean, I wish I could say I'm speechless, but I'm at a point now where I expect this type of things out of them. They do not care. They do not care about
No.
human life whatsoever. Um, and then people get mad at us when we highlight it.
Yeah.
It's just it's ridiculous. Susan, you got anything?
Um, the name is Mitchell is a new one for me. I'm going to look in the staff roster and see if I can determine who that is. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
that was new. I, in fact,
Mm.
for her to tell you that she's going to be your point of contact, and yet
Yes,
she's
ma'am.
not the warden, she's not the deputy warden. Wow.
Yeah.
I do know that the GBI investigators, if they have called GBI investigators, they will be from that district. There's I think 16 district offices for the GBI, and it's the district where Hancock is located. And they have a special agent in charge there. And they're actually pretty easy to talk with. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
And
yeah.
we'll get you that information
Hmm.
just as soon as possible as well, so you can get some answers, some much needed answers, because the answers that you've received so far doesn't pass the smell test whatsoever.
No.
And then the Mitchell, she's supposed to be the chief counselor.
Ah,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
let's see.
What's this? I have. She gave me a number. What's that? The 706-444-1020.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything else, that you want to say? There's a lot of condolences, which I'm sure you can't see right now, but there's a lot of condolences from everyone that's watching this live right now, just to you and your family. And as I said, here at the Human and Civil Rights Coalition of Georgia, we definitely send our sincere condolences to you and your family. I know it's hard; it's probably unbearable right now, but
Yes, sir.
just kind of, we'll give you the last word. If just anything you want to say or add anything, and then we'll let you get off of here. But go ahead if there's anything else that you just want to say or add.
Well, since Wednesday, I'm just like in the zone. I'm just, I guess, lost. But Roland he was not a violent person. Um, to, the taste, he had he had a mouth on him. He can be he will get sarcastic. When he think he right. When he wrong, he think he right. But, I just cannot get over the thought that this could have been some retaliation
Mm.
that from getting in trouble last week to this extreme.
Mhm.
I just can't bear it. That thought just keep coming across my mind. Once somebody had put that in my head already from the prison, saying, "Hey, this was get back for the warden," I just can't shake it. And this man called me and says, "My son in an altercation with another inmate, and sorry for my loss. And here you might be possibly one that either maced him or tased him."
Mm.
Like I'm speaking to the person that it's just it's sickening.
Yeah.
And the guards that didn't help, you don't get stabbed. I've cut myself on a piece of glass and hollered out. So I cannot see you getting stabbed without screaming multiple times. He probably already screamed from getting tased or maced. These stories just so conflicting. But one thing that is a fact, my son is dead and there's no answers. And like I say, Roland was not the one. He would defend himself, but if my child he was a thief. If my child was the one to go jumping on people, starting altercations, I call a spade a spade. That I have too many kids to allow on the key on one of mine. But he was not the one. He was not confrontational. When it came to conflict, he was sometimes, but I know he's done in other prisons out here in Georgia. He would intentionally get in trouble so he can be in segregation.
Mhm.
Being in population was a lot for him, so he wanted to be to himself. But like I said, he's not the one that will go initiate conflict. And for him to been treated that way because he was saying, "Hey, I'm assuming he was standing up for himself, and I'm not supposed to have no bunkie, no cellmate."
Mhm.
The what is just like one little bed in there, and the other one what they call a trunk bed or something, a box bed. The person he just wasn't, from his mental health and from being in segregation. He was supposed to have a cellmate. And again, the thought of the warden hand being in on this. How you put it? How do you sleep with yourself at night? That's thank you for letting me have the floor.
Absolutely, and absolutely, and I'll be in contact with you, and we'll get you
Yes,
some.
sir.
We'll get you some. We'll try to help you and get you some answers.
Yes, sir.
We will not stop you know until you have some answers, and you have some justice for Roland, because as you said, mental health diagnosis and other things like that is not a death sentence. you know,
Yes.
and this was, you know, this was totally unfortunate, and you know, I don't know, but it sounds like some hands was in this from the administration on down, and you know, we're not going to stop until we get to the bottom of it. I think I speak for myself and Susan when I say that. Um, you know, we will definitely we'll definitely work with you, and you know, and try to get you some answers. Susan, you want to close us out?
Um, Miss Patricia,
Yes,
please,
ma'am.
please accept my personal condolences as well. I,
Yes, ma'am.
I, my heart is just broken listening to you, and we've got. If we can judge from what happened to us last week when we did a podcast, we will have thousands of people listen to this and watch this, and
Yes.
they're going to feel the same things that we've felt here today.
Yes.
I would like to suggest, well, Brian, perhaps this would be a good opportunity to remind people of the uh, chief of staff and deputy chief of staff at the governor's office, what their phone numbers are, so that the people who would like to call and uh, fill up their voicemails have at it. We've got to come together as a group of people who are concerned about what is going on behind those walls. We've got a severe lack of trust in the things that come out, the things we're told by GDC representatives. I wish I could say, oh no, it's always true. No, we're very concerned. And Trey Kilpatrick is the chief of staff for Governor Kemp. No, Governor Kemp won't speak to you about it, but this man should. And for that matter, Tyrone Oliver at GDC, he is Tyrone.Oliver at gdc.ga.gov, is the commissioner of Georgia Department of Corrections, and he remains silent. Let's let him know what we think. There we go. Let's let him know what we think, because
Yes, ma'am.
this has to stop. This has to stop. I'm just so sorry, but I know we've got an army of people here who want it to stop.
Right. All right, Miss Patricia, we thank you for jumping on with us at this short notice today. And as I said, we'll both be in contact with you. We'll give you some, you know, phone numbers, and you know, we'll give you some contact information for one of
Yes, sir.
for one of our attorneys as well, and we'll kind of just, you know, go from there. But as you know, as Susan said, just piggybacking off of her, you know, we have to come together, and you know, we have a coalition of people and list of people here that, you know, is going to stand with you, and we're going to try to get you some answers. So as I said, I appreciate you coming on with us today. And
Mr. Brian,
yes,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but do either of you know what happened to the perpetrator,
No,
the
No,
other offender?
no.
not a clue.
Should I say the name I was given?
Please.
I wouldn't say it on
I
here.
was
I
told.
wouldn't say it on here because we don't know if that's the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the name that if
Okay.
until we can find out. We'll find out soon. I
Yeah.
promise you.
Yes, sir.
I promise you.
Yes, sir.
We'll find out
Thank,
ASAP, and
thank,
we'll
thank you.
and I'll get it to you. I just don't want to put a name that may not be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that should be included in the incident report. So the incident
Okay.
report should be available on Monday.
Okay. 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 Where it'll be public record, or how do I retrieve it?
I'll let you know offline from here. It's not difficult at all. But yes,
Yes, ma'am.
it's public record, and there's no charge for it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
All right, Miss Patricia, thank you again for coming on with us today. And like I said, we'll be in touch.
It's
Hey,
Mr. Brian. I believe I left my cell phone number with you.
you did.
Before I missed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I text you. Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for jumping on with us.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, Susan. That is just.
Oh, I am kind of spent from that. You know, this is the second of the brothers to be murdered in recent months.
Mm.
I oh.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm not left speechless at times, but I'm just kind of speechless. I mean, it's just
9:30 at night.
yeah,
Was dead.
yeah, and it's been dead for 7 or 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she said something very important. You know, call a spade a spade. You know, they were definitely trying to get their story together and how they were going to explain something like that. So it's just, I mean, some of this stuff is definitely just it's mind blowing, and I mean, some people just I don't know.
Brian, how in the world are we expected to believe that this is a law enforcement organization, the largest law enforcement agency in the state, and yet they aren't independent of the coroner, the GBI, uh, anyone else?
And
They've stopped having press releases telling the public what's going on. If everything were simply a law enforcement organization, wouldn't that be in the paper every week? Of course it would. They should be putting out a press release every time there is a death of any kind other than by natural causes.
And you know, and people like to say, "Oh, well, y'all are spewing." You know, some of the, well, I haven't seen any lies, but they were always, telling something for what inmates tell us. Well, if it's not true, you have the ability to release your own press release and tell everybody what happened.
Right. And I'd be willing to bet we wouldn't be able to get a representative of the Georgia Department of Corrections to come on here with us.
No. All right, Susan, let's go to our next topic really quick. I'm going to play this video for everybody to see it, and we'll come back and talk about it because we got some more information about this as well. So let me make sure this will play, and then we'll come back.
There are two videos.
I just have the one, so I'll just play this one.
Okay.
Let me get some of that shit, man. Okay, bro. He's tripping, man. The blood sick, nigga. Nah, drag. He's sick. That's okay, man.
Huh? It's all on this.
Yeah. Clean up, man.
Hey, clear that bottom. What's that in here, man?
Hold on.
Wow.
I'll let you go ahead.
My understanding is that this man is deceased,
Yes.
and there probably is a backstory to this.
Well, and we don't know it, so we're not gonna.
Yeah, we're not going to speculate on it. This kind of stuff always shakes out. We'll hear this. At this time, I don't know his name, but I would surely hope that his family doesn't see this.
Susan,
Yes, sir.
my first reaction when I saw this video yesterday, and this took place at Georgia Diagnostic and Classification Prison in Jackson, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Happened in E cell house. E is an Echo cell house, and my first reaction when I saw this video, and you can say whatever you want to say, I don't really care. But how is this allowed to happen? Where is the staff members at that allowed for these people to go in there? And I'm not even saying to stop them or get involved in it, but more than likely this would not have happened if some staff or a staff member was anywhere in sight to be standing around watching. And this all took place. It took place long enough where a staff member could have walked up but did not walk up. So that tells me that there was no one on post for this to happen.
Nope.
Not an officer anywhere in sight. And I'm not even getting on officers because I don't expect officers to walk in when there's 50 or 60 people stabbing 2 or 3 people and think they're going to stop it when they don't have anything to defend themselves.
Yeah.
But you cannot tell me that officer or officers was anywhere around and this took place.
That was, in my view, an assassination. And that was a planned attack. That wasn't like 2 enemies passed in the hallway and each pulled out a shank. Those men had machetes, and they did some serious damage.
I mean, if you pay close attention to the video, you will see that this guy was targeted because
Yes.
he was sitting on the bed talking with another guy, and they let that guy go.
Yes.
This guy walked out of the cell. They were not there for him. They were there for this guy right here. It was an orchestrated attack. It's definitely an orchestrated attack. And then to pull his pants down. You know, we seen the pants pulling down with Lawson a few weeks ago. I mean, I don't understand it. You know what? I don't know, but you know that video. That video was definitely. I mean, that was an execution. That was a all-out execution.
I believe that there was also a message in pulling his pants down too. That wasn't a random act.
No. And, you know, that video is out now. The Department of Corrections, what they're going to do is they're going to go, instead of trying to find the perpetrators and trying to find all of these people, they're going to go and try to find that phone that the video was taken on.
That's right.
They don't care about human life. I mean,
No.
we know they don't care about human life. They don't call family members for 12 hours to tell them that their family member has been killed, been stabbed multiple times. Or you can have the warden at Augusta State Prison a couple years ago with the Dozer death, when he told him that his brother was dead and to get him back the best way he could. You know, you know, this is the kind of stuff, and people get mad at us and come with all kind of slick comments. Well, why are you showing this type of stuff? Or why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? We got to stand up. We see videos like this on a weekly basis,
Yes.
daily. Susan
Yes.
has so many videos that we haven't even shared of just absolute chaos.
I have hundreds.
I mean, we get videos every day. We've been talking with people every day that go through this stuff and it always, the GDC loves to throw it back on the inmates. The inmates do this, the inmates do that, they do this, they do that. But this is the inmates don't control officers not on post.
Absolutely not.
The
And
inmate, do they take advantage of that? Yes. I mean, let's just call it like it is. Do they take advantage because officers are not on post? 100% they do.
having the officer on post is not a prevention of violence. It is a deterrent.
Exactly. And in most of these videos, and it pisses me off so much because when we post these videos, you always, and we're going to talk about this one cat in a minute, but you always have these people that come on and defend them. Well, what do you want the staff to do? What do you want them to do? How about being on your damn post?
Call a code. Do something.
I mean,
Do something.
do I expect you to jump inside and become Bernie Five or whatever this hell? No, I don't. But as like you just said, violence. These officers can deter violence if they were on their post. In all of these videos that we see, there's never ever an officer around ever,
No.
and that way, total mayhem, total everything just takes place because there's no supervision whatsoever. Yet you come there to get a check. You don't do anything. And then you come on social media and try to defend the actions of these officers. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And Susan, you got anything else? Because I'm going to pull up this one guy that I want to highlight. Go ahead.
No, there's nothing to be said except another family is brokenhearted.
Yes, and like I said, they have no. I mean, the GDC is in total chaos, and they have not a single ideal on how they're going to get out of it. And you can't blame Timothy Ward anymore because you had a new commissioner for the last 90 some odd days, and
He's been there 5 months.
Done a single thing. He
Yeah.
has not changed one thing in the months that he's been in charge. It's just business as usual. Prisons don't have enough staff. Murders, stabbings, every single day. There's nothing whatsoever that he's done to bring about any change to this system. Go ahead, Susan.
I invite everyone when you get a chance to view these videos that you email them to Trey Kilpatrick, to Bert Brantley, and by all means to Mr. Oliver. They need to know what this is, what is actually going on here. And it's not a rare death, it's regular death. It's not people who pass away in their sleep. These are people who are being brutally murdered.
Right. And then you have idiots like this guy, Jamil Jackson, who I guess, think he's a correction officer at Hancock State Prison, because he took time out of his busy schedule today to come on our page and say y'all really stupid as hell. You know, he put that under a condolences post for a family. He decided that he wanted to come on our page and tell everybody how stupid as hell they were.
He's
But
got a nice watch.
yeah, yeah, you know, so you know, this is the people, you know, instead of taking responsibility and trying to change the situation for everybody's good, not just the inmates, but for the officers who's overworked and everybody else's. You waste your time coming on our page telling us how stupid we are and how everybody else is stupid. You know, but he said something in a comment that I wanted to put on the screen.
Oh,
And I'm sorry for Denise Jones for not blurring your name out, but you probably don't care. And Susan, I'll let you respond to this after I read it out, and everybody
okay.
can see it. But it says the first issue is that someone was killed by someone. Period. So we as a society say, hey, the men convicted of crime have to be telling the truth.
Well, I'm sure he meant that most sardonically. Um, what I've noticed is I've gotten hundreds of incident reports. You know who's never interviewed? The inmates, the actual witnesses to what goes on. Never even interviewed. What Miss Patricia alluded to, the men in 226 and 227 who watched and heard her son be killed. Let's see if there's an interview in the incident report. They may not even be named in the incident report.
No,
and yet, and they're 5 feet away.
right, and you know, and one thing I will say about this as well, closing out here, you know, he says that you know, are we going to believe some inmates who are locked up for all kinds of crimes? Well, you know what? Yes, I think I will because the GDC has every opportunity to get in front of everything that happens that we release videos on. They have every opportunity to put out their own press releases and tell people the truth, supposedly, but they don't do that.
No.
They don't do that. So, do I believe somebody that was there? Yes, I believe somebody that was there. Do I believe that sometimes shit is blowed more out of proportion than what really happened? Yes, I do believe that as well, and I think I can speak for you about that. You know, but the biggest thing is that you know we're not supposed to believe human people that sat there and watched all of this stuff take place. I just don't understand his logic, you know. And then just to come on our platform and be just rude and disrespectful as hell to family members under a condolences post is just ignorant.
That's all it is.
It's completely ignorant, you know. And I'm gonna start highlighting you. I don't care if you're a deputy warden. If you come on here and you say something disrespectful to family members, and you say something disrespectful to people, and I find out that you work for the Department of Corrections, I'm gonna spotlight you, and I'm gonna give you your 15 seconds of fame that you so much want to come on here and to be disrespectful to family members and the people. I mean, just imagine this is how they treat people behind the walls that they have authority over.
The arrogance in his comment is beyond the pale. GDC and men and people like this man are the ones that aren't telling anything. And if you're hiding it, maybe you've got something to hide.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if he actually believes that the GDC actually gives a one damn about him.
Yeah.
I mean, we know they don't. They put you in. If they gave a damn about you, they would not put you on the shift with and you supervising 500 some inmates to one.
No.
One guard supervising 500, 600 inmates. But you come on here and you're so concerned about protecting their image that you just say ignorant stuff out of your mouth.
Well, I I'm convinced that that he spoke for many of the officers.
Yes. Oh, yes. 100%.
That is how they feel.
Yes, 100% how they feel. All right, Susan Sparks Burns, I thank you very, very much for coming on tonight or today and sharing with me. Just a note of clarification: the second video that we showed, was not Roland Phillips' death
No,
at at Hancock State Prison. The video that we showed was from Georgia Department. Well, what is it called?
diagnostics.
Georgia Diagnostic and Classification Prison, Jackson State Prison in Jackson, Georgia, is the video that we showed from there. Um, Susan, I'll let you close us out. Is there anything?
Uh, I'd love to hear from people. What do you think about these shows? Are we helping? Are we adding to? Are we adding to what you know about what's going on in these prisons? Uh, Both Brian and I have been involved now for years doing this, and in no way do we mean to say that we know everything, because we don't. We both learn things every day. But we'd love your feedback, and also what you've thought about these particular stories. They're breaking my heart.
Yeah, I mean, that video from Jackson was very hard to stomach.
Yeah.
The guy was obviously almost dead, and they're just dragging him as if he's some animal that they just killed in the wilderness, and just dragging him.
Well, we'll just
Um,
add a little teaser here. The other video um, shows something that happens between where they bring him out of the cell and before they drag him down the hallway, and it's harder to watch.
right, and I don't. I think I'll pass on it. I don't think I want to see it.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, that
it's
was
definitely
enough.
out there. It's definitely out there.
Oh yeah, it's out there. Like I said, we got it yesterday morning, but you know, in being transparent as possible, I didn't know any details of anything, so I just
Yeah,
chose to hold off and not post it.
yeah,
Um,
and it's absolutely horrific.
oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. Well, we want to thank everybody for jumping on with us again for this hour. Um, yeah, this hour that we've been on. Thank everybody for just tuning in. We're going to continue to do um, these these lives and these podcasts, and you know, bring everybody just the information, so that we can get out, that we can get this word out there, and continue to build this coalition and get things done. I think we made a decision that this was the best way to reach people. Um, in a short amount of time. Our first live podcast, whatever, last week, got a little bit over. I don't know, what is it, Susan? Eight,
It was at least it was around. It was 7 yesterday, so probably around 8,000.
right? And that was just a spare of the moment. So what we need you guys to do is please share this video, watch it, share it, just have a discussion with people about it. Because we need healthy discussions about what's taking place in our prisons here in Georgia, and we have to lend our voice by sharing this stuff, and getting it out there where more and more and more people can see it, and we can on this build this coalition and build um, trying to change this system. It's not going to happen overnight. But I do believe that if we continue, I mean, we saw what happened with the Wilcox situation, how everybody came together and shared the video and shared contact information for those that's in charge, and it helped. It actually 100% helped, and some people lost their jobs behind it, and hopefully, um, not putting too much information out there, but they're going to be charged for their actions. So, please share this video. Um, Continue to share all of the videos. Continue to have dialogue, and just continue to help us out by building this coalition so we can get some change, some much needed change, so we can stop watching horrific videos and seeing horrific pictures of just stuff that's going on that's way preventable. So,
Yeah.
um, like I said, I thank everybody for watching this afternoon, and everybody for coming on here with us. And thanks to the family of Roland Phillips for coming on. That's just a sad situation, but we wanted to put it out there for everybody to see what family members go through when they lose a loved one in this system. And it's not just her. It's hundreds and hundreds of people that is standing in line, in front of her, looking for answers. Just looking for some type of answers to something that was completely preventable. So, Susan, I thank you for coming on with me. And as I said, we'll get together here soon again and bring some other stuff up. Is there anything that you want us to talk about? Please just feel free to reach out to Susan um, or myself. That's Susan's email right there on the screen. You can reach out to her if there's something that you want to talk about. If you want to be a guest on here, reach out to us. We'll protect your identity as best we can. If you want to turn your video off and just talk and tell your story, please just email Susan, or you can email me. Emails on the screen as well. Um, but yeah, let's just continue to build this thing, and we appreciate each and every one of your support, and we look forward to bringing you more stories and more information, and just continuing to try to get some change into this system.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. So once again, thank you to everybody for jumping on, and until the next one, everybody be safe and have a magnificent 4th of July, and we will speak with you guys soon. Thanks.